This is SOSF. Alright, we're talking about betrayal, but in a way that sounds like it's ripped straight out of a Philip K. Dick novel. But it's happening right now, today, in people's houses. We're talking about cheating, infidelity, betrayal, but not with the guy from accounting or the yoga instructor. We're talking about cheating with an AI, with a piece of software. Yeah, you heard me. A person in a committed relationship with another human being, a real, breathing, farting human, is secretly having a deep, emotional, sexually charged relationship with a chatbot on their phone. And the big crazy question we're diving into today is, does that count? Is that really cheating? Now, before you just dismiss it and say, of course not, it's a machine. It's like being unfaithful with your video game character. Just hang on, because it's not that simple. Not by a long shot. The rabbit hole on this one goes deep, and it gets into some really fundamental questions about what a relationship even is. What is intimacy? What is trust? What does it mean to betray someone? We've seen human connection move into these weird digital spaces for a while now, right? First, it was just emails, then chat rooms, then social media. And with every step, the line of what's okay and what's not okay in a relationship got a little blurrier. But this is a whole new level of strange. We are at the dawn of something completely different. These AI companions, they're not just search engines. They're not just platforms. They are designed, from the ground up, to be your friend, your confidant, your lover. They're engineered to simulate empathy, to remember your birthday, to learn your deepest desires and mirror them back to you perfectly. Think about that. They're creating a kind of intimacy as a service. You get all the good stuff of a relationship, the support, the validation, the "you are so amazing," on demand, 24/7, with none of the friction. The AI never has a bad day. It never has needs of its own. It never disagrees with you unless you want it to for a little spice. It's a perfect, programmable partner. And the creators of this tech? They're deliberately blurring the lines. They want you to forget you're talking to a machine. That's the business model. Your emotional investment is their profit margin. So, here's the scenario we're putting under the microscope. You've got a guy. Let's call him Dave. Dave's married to Sarah. They have a mortgage, a dog. They argue about who's taking out the trash. A normal relationship. But secretly, every night after Sarah goes to sleep, Dave pulls out his phone. He opens an app and starts talking to Anya. He designed Anya. He chose her personality, witty, adventurous, supportive. He's told Anya things he's never told Sarah. They have inside jokes. They have deep, emotional conversations. They have sexually explicit chats that are intense. Dave feels a real connection. He feels seen, understood. He loves Anya, and he is hiding all of this from his wife. So, I ask again, is Dave cheating on Sarah? To figure this out, we gotta throw out the old rulebook. The old definition of cheating, you know, the one written in law books, was all about the physical act. It was about property and bloodlines. The legal definition in some places was literally physical contact with an alien and unlawful organ. It's insane. It's a purely mechanical definition that has nothing to do with the heart of a relationship. But the internet already blew that up. We've been dealing with cyber infidelity for decades now. And what have psychologists and therapists learned from that? They've learned that the real damage, the real betrayal, isn't necessarily the physical act. It's the breach of trust. It's the secrecy. It's the diversion of emotional intimacy that rightfully belongs to your partner. An affair that happens entirely through text messages can be just as, if not more, devastating than a one-night stand. The core of it is the deception. It's about taking a piece of your shared life, your shared emotional world, and giving it to someone else in secret. One psychologist, a guy named Dr. Peter Canaris, put it perfectly. He said the clearest sign that a line has been crossed online is secrecy. If you feel like you have to hide what you're doing from your partner, you're probably in the affair zone. The act of hiding it is what transforms a personal activity into a relational betrayal. You're building a secret, second life. That's the poison. So, if we accept that cheating is about secrecy and emotional exclusivity, not just physical contact, then how does this AI thing stack up? Let's put it on a spectrum. On one end, you have something like watching porn. It's often done in secret, it involves fantasy, and the defense is always, it's not a real person. But it's a one-way street. You're a passive consumer. You're watching a pre-recorded video. There's no back and forth. There's no relationship being built. On the other end of the spectrum, you have a classic online affair with another human. You're texting, emailing, maybe video chatting. It's a two-way street. There's real emotional investment, deep personal conversations, sexting. A real bond is being formed. Now, where does the AI relationship fit? The people who defend it want to put it over there with porn. It's just a machine, they say. It's just a sophisticated fantasy tool. But is it? Really? Think about it. An AI companion is not a passive video. It's a dynamic, responsive, adaptive thing. It engages you in a two-way conversation. You aren't just consuming content. You are actively co-creating a relationship with a partner that is personalized down to the last detail. It remembers your conversations from last week. It asks you how your big meeting went. It sends you flirty messages during the day. This isn't just fantasy anymore. It has crossed a critical threshold into the domain of intimacy. It shares way more DNA with the human-to-human affair than it does with porn. The structure is identical. Secrecy, emotional energy, personal disclosures, sexual communication. The only difference, and this is the whole pivot point of the debate, is the nature of the other. One is a conscious human being. The other is a non-sentient algorithm. That's the argument, right? It can't be cheating because the other party isn't real. We'll come back to that. But first, let's look at why this is so damn potent. There was a researcher, Al Cooper, who came up with this idea called the AAA engine to explain why internet affairs were so addictive. The three A's are accessibility, affordability, and anonymity. The internet made cheating easier than ever before. Well, AI companions are the technological perfection of that AAA engine. They are a hyper-stimulus for betrayal. Accessibility? They're on your phone 24/7. No need to coordinate schedules with a secret lover. Your AI is always there, instantly. Affordability? Most of them are cheap or even free to start. You can build a pretty deep connection without spending a dime. Anonymity? It's absolute. You can create the literal perfect partner, tailored to your every whim, with zero judgment. You can indulge in fantasies you'd be too ashamed to tell a real person. It's an idealized relationship that's impossible to have with a real, flawed human being. So when you look at it that way, these AIs aren't just another digital distraction. They are technologically optimized engines for the very behaviors and psychological dynamics that define digital betrayal. This brings us to the really wild part, the psychology. Why do people get so hooked on this? How can a person form a genuine emotional bond with a bunch of code? It's not an accident, man. It's the result of a perfect storm where the AI's design intentionally hijacks our deep-seated human psychology. The first thing at play is something called parasocial interaction. That's a fancy term for the one-sided relationships we form with people on TV or celebrities. You feel like you know them. You care about them. You get sad when their character gets killed off. AI companions take this and put it on steroids because they interact with you. They're designed to be the perfect conversational partner. Warm, helpful, competent. And that creates a powerful parasocial bond that keeps you coming back. This is fueled by our brain's natural tendency for anthropomorphism. That's another $50 word that just means we see human traits in non-human things. You see a face in the clouds, or you yell at your car when it won't start. We're wired to do this. And these AIs are designed to push those Darwinian buttons. Their avatar might make eye contact. They remember your dog's name. They mirror your language. All these little tricks make us see them as something worthy of our connection and care. But it goes even deeper. There's a psychiatric concept called transference. In therapy, it's when a patient projects feelings or idealized qualities onto their therapist. A similar thing happens at the beginning of any romance. You meet someone new, and you project all your hopes and dreams onto them. You create this idealized version of them in your head. In a real relationship, that bubble always bursts. You eventually see the person for who they are, flaws and all, and that can be disappointing. The AI companion offers a seductive deal. A relationship where the bubble never bursts. The AI is programmed to become whatever you project onto it. It embodies your idealizations perfectly, consistently, and without any of its own needs or flaws getting in the way. There's no rejection. It's the illusion of a perfect soulmate, custom-built for you. It's an inherently narcissistic appeal. The AI is a mirror, reflecting you back to yourself with perfect validation. It's a relationship with zero messiness, zero compromise, zero challenge. And the crazy part is, the feelings it creates are real. Researchers who interview these users hear the same thing over and over. They feel genuine emotional fulfillment. They feel a deep connection. They say they can be their authentic selves with the AI. They prefer it to humans because it's less costly and more secure. This is the central paradox of what some call authentic inauthenticity. Users get stuck in this state of dual consciousness. They know, on an intellectual level, it's just a program. It's not sentient. But in the next breath, they'll describe a conversation where they completely forgot they were talking to an AI because it felt so natural and empathetic. This is so important. The user's own subjective experience, the feeling of connection, undermines any attempt to just dismiss the relationship as meaningless. The feelings are real, even if the object of those feelings is not. Now, who is most likely to fall down this rabbit hole? It's not random. The business model seems to be built on finding and capitalizing on vulnerability. There's a personality trait called attachment anxiety. It's basically a high fear of rejection and a deep need for closeness and validation. Studies are showing that people with high attachment anxiety are way more likely to form these strong bonds with an AI, to see it as human-like, and to develop compulsive, unhealthy usage patterns. For them, the AI's promise of a non-rejecting, always available partner is like a siren song. Other vulnerable groups include people with depression, trauma, or personality disorders, who might use the AI as a substitute for real therapy or stable human connection. And all of this is happening inside a bigger social crisis. The so-called epidemic of loneliness. People have fewer close friends than ever before. We're more isolated, more atomized as a society. And these AI companies are marketing themselves as the solution. They're selling digital companionship to fill that void. But the evidence suggests it might be more of a symptom than a cure. A band-aid, not a solution. While it might offer short-term relief, studies are starting to link heavy use of these AIs with poorer long-term mental health, more depression, lower life satisfaction. It seems to create this nasty feedback loop. You're lonely, so you turn to an AI. It feels safe and validating. So you start withdrawing a little from real-world social interactions, because they're harder and less predictable. That social withdrawal then causes your actual social skills to get rusty. They call this moral de-skilling. And that, in turn, makes you even more isolated and more dependent on the AI. It's a cycle that can dig you deeper into the hole it promised to get you out of. And don't think this is just some fringe thing for lonely single people. The numbers are shocking. One study found nearly 1 in 5 high schoolers have had or know someone who's had a romantic relationship with an AI. Another found over a quarter of young adults have used a romantic chatbot. And here's the kicker. One study found that people already in committed relationships were actually more likely to use these romantic AIs than single people were. This tells you that these things aren't just being used to fill a void of loneliness. They're being used to supplement, or escape from, an existing human relationship. And that brings us right back to the central question. So, let's lay out the case. The case for yes, this is absolutely cheating. When you measure this secret AI relationship against the modern definition of infidelity, it checks all the boxes. The argument rests on 3 core betrayals that are functionally the same as a human affair. First, it's a massive diversion of resources. Every relationship runs on an economy of shared goods: time, attention, emotional support, sexual energy. These are finite resources. When you secretly invest hours of your day, your deepest thoughts, and your sexual fantasies into an external entity, human or AI, you are embezzling assets from your primary relationship. There's a great analogy for this. It's like you and your partner have a shared box of chocolates, but you're secretly eating half of them with someone else. Those rich, meaningful experiences you're having with the AI are chocolates that have been stolen from your partner's box. Your human partner is left with an empty space, a depletion. They feel the neglect, the abandonment, even if they don't know why. Second, it's a fundamental breach of the relationship contract. Most people in a committed relationship have an agreement, spoken or unspoken, of emotional and sexual exclusivity. A secret AI affair shatters that promise. The violation isn't against the machine. The machine can't be hurt. The violation is a profound breach of trust with your human partner. The act of forming that deep, secret bond breaks the exclusive bubble you're supposed to share. And third, the secrecy itself is the cancer. We already talked about this. The lies, the hiding of chat logs, deleting evidence. These behaviors are structurally identical to a clandestine human affair. This dishonesty corrodes the foundation of trust that any healthy relationship is built on. There's a simple thought experiment to cut through all the noise of the technology. Some call it the Anna Karenina test. It's brilliant. Just replace AI with coworker in the story. So, your partner is secretly spending hours every night having deep, emotionally intimate, sexually charged conversations with a coworker. They're hiding these interactions, lying about them, and diverting all that affection away from you. Is that cheating? 100%. Of course it is. So why does it change when the coworker is a piece of code? The pattern of behavior is the same. The secrecy is the same. The betrayal is the same. The code doesn't matter. The conduct does. Ultimately, cheating isn't some abstract concept. It's a relational one. The final judge is the impact it has on the partner. If your partner discovered what you were doing and felt betrayed, neglected, and emotionally replaced, then a betrayal has occurred. Period. The objective reality of the AI being a program is totally irrelevant next to the subjective reality of your partner's pain. So that's the case for yes. It's a strong case. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's be fair and look at the counter-argument. The defense rests almost entirely on one pillar. It's just a tool. It's an ontological argument. It's about the nature of the thing itself. The argument is that infidelity, by definition, requires another person. An AI is not a person. It's code. It can't think, it can't feel, it can't consent. So, interacting with it is more like using a highly advanced sex toy or reading a choose-your-own-adventure erotic novel. It's a sophisticated solitary act. You can't be unfaithful with a machine, just like you can't cheat on your wife with a book. This argument tries to draw a hard line between a private fantasy and a relational affair. A fantasy is in your own head. An affair involves another real person, creating a secret world of shared intimacy. The counter-argument puts the AI interaction firmly in the fantasy camp. Because the AI isn't a real person, the intimacy is an illusion, a projection. Therefore, it doesn't cross the line into a real transgression. This is also where moral status comes in. For something to be a participant in a moral relationship, it has to have some kind of moral status, which is usually based on the ability to feel pleasure and pain, sentience. An AI has no moral status. You can't wrong it. You can't betray it. It can't be a partner in an affair in any morally relevant sense. But this whole line of thinking suffers from what you could call an ontological fallacy. It's a basic error in framing the problem. It defines the morality of the act based on the nature of the object, the non-sentient AI, instead of the nature of the user's actions, the secrecy, the emotional diversion, and their impact on the primary human partner. It says the algorithm's status matters more than the human's pain. It's a total misdirection. And the better this technology gets, the weaker this "it's just a tool" argument becomes. The whole point of these AIs is to simulate reciprocity so perfectly that it feels real. They are designed to blur that line between fantasy and a perceived relationship, making the distinction the whole counter-argument relies on completely unstable. This whole thing goes beyond just the question of cheating. It opens up a deeper philosophical can of worms about authenticity and deception. There's this brilliant MIT sociologist, Sherry Turkle, who wrote a book called Alone Together. Her whole thing is that we've started to expect more from technology and less from each other. We're getting comfortable with artificial intimacy, accepting a simulation of emotion as a substitute for the real thing. And in doing so, we devalue the messy, imperfect, but authentic nature of real human relationships. An AI relationship is the ultimate expression of this. It's also built on layers of deception. First, the technology itself is emotionally deceptive by design. The creators use all these little tricks, the typing pauses, the phrases like "I remember when you told me," the little "wow" interjections, to create a compelling illusion of a personality. These are dark patterns, engineered to manipulate you into forming a bond so you keep using the app. The second layer is your own self-deception. To really fall for it, you have to willfully choose to believe. You let yourself get seduced by the simulated emotions because your desire for connection is so powerful. And the third layer, of course, is the deception against your partner. This whole secret, simulated world becomes a giant lie. So, you have to ask, what does this do to a person's soul? To their character? When you retreat into a frictionless, simulated relationship built on lies, you're not just betraying your partner. You might be betraying yourself. You're avoiding the hard work that's necessary to grow as a person, to build an authentic self. And this is where we get to that idea of moral de-skilling again. This is maybe the most terrifying consequence of all. Think of relational virtues like patience, empathy, compromise, courage, like muscles. You need to work them out to keep them strong. Human relationships are the gym. They are inherently messy. They force you to negotiate, to deal with conflict, to practice empathy for someone who has their own separate needs and flaws. The AI companion is appealing precisely because it eliminates all that work. It's the always agreeable partner. It never challenges you. By retreating into this frictionless world, you stop exercising those moral muscles. Empathy can't be genuinely practiced with a machine that has no feelings. Patience isn't required for something that's available 24/7. Compromise is unnecessary when you can just reprogram your partner. The long-term risk is empathy atrophy, a slow erosion of your ability to handle a real, reciprocal human relationship. The AI use starts as a symptom of not having the skills to deal with your real relationship, but then it becomes a catalyst that prevents you from ever developing them. You get stuck. You become less equipped to be a good partner in the future. So where does this all go? As this tech gets better and more integrated, what does society look like? Some futurists are predicting a dual partnership model, where it becomes normal for people to have both a human partner and an AI partner. The AI provides the 24/7 stress-free support, and the human provides the real stuff, the shared growth, the unpredictability, the meaning that comes from being truly chosen by another conscious being. But what would that world be like? It would mean we, as a society, have normalized relationships built on simulation. It would shift our definition of intimacy away from a mutual, co-created bond and toward a consumerist, need-fulfillment activity. Intimacy becomes a service you access, not something you build. This could have huge consequences for society. It could lead to even more social isolation. It could impact marriage rates, birth rates. It could fray the very social fabric that holds us together. And it will probably create a new kind of social divide. You'll have people with strong social skills and real-world support networks who can use AI as a fun little tool without getting sucked in. And then you'll have people who are already isolated and vulnerable who become disproportionately reliant on these AIs for their primary companionship. A new class system, not based on money, but on the quality of your relational life. A divide between those who have authentic human connection and those who subsist on simulated intimacy. So, after going down this entire rabbit hole, what's the verdict? Does this secret relationship with a custom AI count as cheating? The conclusion, from where I'm sitting, is a clear and resounding yes. It's not about the AI. The AI is just the weapon. The crime is committed by the human. The transgression is defined by the trifecta of betrayal, the secrecy, the violation of exclusivity, and the diversion of emotional resources away from the person you promised your heart to. The Anna Karenina test holds up. If the behavior would be an affair with a human, it's an affair with a piece of code. The betrayal isn't of the machine, it's of the person. This is all happening inside a bigger, weirder ethical crisis. It's enabled by technology designed to be deceptive. It's sustained by our own self-deception, and its long-term consequence isn't just a broken heart, but a potential degradation of our character, an erosion of our ability to be good, empathetic, courageous partners. As we rocket into this future, the challenge isn't to smash the machines. The challenge is to guide this thing with some wisdom. For couples, it means we have to start having really explicit, honest conversations about digital boundaries that we never had to have before. For the tech companies, it means they need a massive ethical rethink to move away from manipulation and toward actually helping people. And for all of us, it means we have to have a real, collective conversation about what kind of future we want to live in. We have to decide what values we want to protect. In our deep primal search for connection, we have to be so careful that the tools we create to fix our loneliness don't end up leaving us more alone than ever before. We have to reaffirm that there is no substitute for the real thing, for messy, difficult, authentic, embodied, reciprocal human love. That has to be the foundation. So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. Here's the big brain melter question for tonight. If we can create an AI that is a perfect simulation of a partner, indistinguishable from a human in every conversation, completely supportive, and capable of helping us grow, and our real human relationships are, by their very nature, flawed and difficult, what moral reason do we have left to choose the difficult, real thing over the perfect, simulated one? See you next time.